So we'll continue our discussion with infections. Now there are a number of small infections we do. Infections caused by bacteria, infections caused by fungi and viruses. We'll try to cover as many as possible today. You have a few infections by parasites as well. Right? Now, first of all, coming to so yesterday we discussed about plague, which is a type of bacterial infection caused by Yersinia pestis. It's a gram-negative Phocobacillus. Today we'll talk about anthrax. Okay. I'm not going into detail of all of these infections because for you in your syllabus it is a very brief description of these diseases. What will happen is my best guess would be these diseases will come to you as 2 mark answers, or maybe a combination of them will be given for short answer or things like that. Okay, just to fill in the marks and things like that. Now, anthrax is a bacterial disease that is caused by a particular bacteria called Bacillus anthracis. One second. Yeah. So Bacillus anthracis, this has been around for a long period of time. It's a very old kind of disease. It used to occur in olden days as well. Okay. I'm talking 200, 300, 400 years ago as well. Okay. Now, this disease mainly spreads from animal to man. So widely you will get it, or someone will get infected from cattle, sometimes even sheep. Okay. Human infection is rather rare. Mostly this bacteria will mainly occur in cattle or sheep. Sometimes it will cross over to humans. It will cross over the species barrier and it will come to humans. Okay. And more often than not, anthrax is occurring in people who are either coming in contact with the soil, which is infected by, the disease, or they are coming in contact with animal products that are contaminated with spores of Bacillus anthracis. Okay, that is the only; those are the only two ways through which you can contact. Either so you are coming in contact with animal products which has spores of this bacteria, or it is in the soil and you are coming in contact with the soil. Vaisa. So, depending on the portal of entry, there are three types of human anthrax. You can have cutaneous anthrax, yeah, pulmonary anthrax, or gastrointestinal anthrax. Okay, so we have cutaneous, and then there is pulmonary, and finally gastrointestinal. Okay. Then coming to the next condition, that told you very short descriptions to any one of these. Whooping cough. Now, whooping cough is a very communicable disease. It spreads very quickly. Okay, and it's an acute bacterial disease that occurs in children. Very common in children, caused by Bordetella. Bordetella pertussis. ठीक है अब whooping cough में क्या होता है within 7 to 10 days after exposure to this bacteria, the patient will enter a particular stage called catarrhal stage. In catarrhal stage, that is the most infectious stage, and at that point what will happen is the patient will have low grade fever. They might have excessive tear production, and they might even suffer from conjunctivitis along with the cough. Okay, so other than the cough, they will have a low grade fever, they will have conjunctivitis, and they will have excessive tear production. This generally occurs about 1 week after exposure. Okay. Then we have staphylococcal infections. Now, staphylococci or gram-positive cocci, okay, they are present almost everywhere on the human body. You'll find them on skin, in the umbilicus, you'll find them in nasal vestibule, you'll find them in stool, at several places. Okay. Three species are specifically pathogenic to humans. Okay. There are several hundreds of species of staphylococci, but three specific species are pathogenic to humans. They include Staph aureus, Staph epidermidis, okay, and Staphylococcus saprophyticus. These three are the main ones that will cause. More often than not, it will be aureus, sometimes epidermidis and saprophyticus. Specifically, epidermidis and saprophyticus can cause endocarditis, pericarditis, endocarditis. It can cause cardiac problems. When we discuss about cardiac issues, I'll explain how it will cause endocarditis. But for now, just remember Staph aureus, Staph epidermidis, especially epidermidis and Staph pyoticus, they can get inside your body and they can cause endocarditis, a special type of endocarditis. Okay. Now, one of the main features of staphylococcal infections is that it will cause suppurative infections. Okay. So this is an important feature. Staphylococcal infections will cause suppurative diseases, meaning they will form conditions where the patient is having a lot of abscesses which are filled with pus. Okay. Now you can have several infections which will have that. You can have infections of skin, or they are infecting burns, surgical wounds. Yeah, sometimes URTI, LRTI भी रह सकता है, upper respiratory tract infection or lower respiratory tract infection. कभी कभी bacterial arthritis होता, ठीक है. They can cause infection of bone, or sometimes they can cause bacterial endocarditis or meningitis. Sometimes they will lead to septicemia. Okay, septicemia is a special condition in which I told you there'll be a lot of highly reactive, highly reproductive bacteria that will be present in your blood, and they will keep on dividing and they'll keep on making bigger and bigger colonies. Okay, so very dangerous bacteria as well. Staphylococci is one such bacteria that can cause septicemia. Sometimes what will happen is if the condition of septicemia is not controlled, the patient will go into toxic shock syndrome, special type of shock, wherein the patient will have a lot of toxins in their blood and in their tissues. Toxic shock syndrome में चले आते वो. Okay. So some common problems that staphylococcal infections will cause, just list them out here. You have infections of, one second. Yeah. So we have infections of skin, infections of bone. Uh, we have burns and surgical wounds. Septicemia. It can cause bacterial arthritis. Now, the signs and symptoms that you will see will be specific to the location where it is occurring. ठीक है, अगर बोन का इन्फेक्शन है तो अलग रहते हैं साइंस एंड सिम्टम्स, स्किन का है तो अलग रहते हैं, बर्न वुंड पे दिखा तो अलग होता, सर्जिकल वुंड पे हुआ तो अलग होता, अगर पेशेंट को सेप्टिसीमिया हुआ तो अलग रहता. So signs and symptoms will vary quite a bit. If it is an arthritis form, it will vary. It can cause endocarditis or, and sorry, meningitis. Endocarditis is infection of your endocardium. ठीक है, आपका पेरिकार्डियम, मायोकार्डियम, एंडोकार्डियम रहता है ना हार्ट का, वो endocarditis. Now there is another type of cocci which is gram-positive cocci, which is also almost as infective and as common as staphylococcal infections, which is streptococcal infections. One specific feature of streptococcal infections, which is distinguishable or which is different from staphylococcal infections, is that it will cause non-suppurative autoimmune complications. So this will cause non-suppurative autoimmune complications. Meaning whenever a person has streptococcal infection, उनके अंदर pus containing abscesses नहीं बनते, but they will have an autoimmune reaction. Because of that bacteria, your body's immune system, your body's T cells and immunoglobulins, they will get confused. I mean, they will start attacking your own cells. Okay? Streptococcal infections can do that. They can trick your immune system in such a way that your immune system will start attacking your own cells, which can be very, very bad. Now, there are several types of streptococcal infections. I'll list out some of them which are common in humans, identified in humans and implicated to cause infections. We have group A. Group A को you also call Streptococcus pyogenes. One second. We have group A or strep pyogenes. Okay. There is group B or group B or Strep Agalastae, ठीक है. Then we have group C and G streptococci. C and G strep. कभी कभी इट कैन कम एज न्यूमोकोकाई, तो उसको स्ट्रेप्टोकोकस निमोनिया भी बोलते हैं. या यू माइट हैव हिमोलाइटिक स्ट्रेप्टोकोकाई, अनटाइपिकल अल्फा हिमोलाइटिक स्ट्रेप्टोकोकाई बोल के रहता. अल्फा हिमोलाइटिक स्ट्रेप्टोकोकाई कैन आल्सो कॉज एंडोकार्डाइटिस. या फिर आपके पास देयर इज अ ग्रुप डी दैट इज कॉल्ड स्ट्रेप फेकालिस, दैट इज आल्सो वेरी कॉमन. ग्रुप डी और स्ट्रेप फेकालिस, ठीक है. So these are some of the common types of streptococcal infections. Remember, the important point, an important difference between streptococcal and staphylococcal infections is that streptococcal infections will cause non-suppurative autoimmune complications. Staphylococcal infections will cause suppurative diseases. They will cause pus-forming diseases. Streptococcal infections में pus नहीं आता. They will cause autoimmune complications. Okay. Then we have fungal infections. Now, you have only 2 fungal infections in your syllabus. Okay. We have mycetoma and candidiasis. Okay. Again, these are also very big. Now, mycetoma is a, how should I put it? It's a very chronic type of suppurative infection. It will mainly involve limb, your shoulder, and sometimes some other tissue, but mainly upper body ka tissue. Kabhi kabhi it can occur in your foot as well. Okay. What will happen is there'll be a lot of sinus, especially if it is in your upper body. If it is affecting your nasal cavity and all, there'll be a lot of sinuses that it will get completely filled, and you will have continuously draining sinuses because of mycetoma. And the material that is discharged out of that sinuses, like out of the sinuses or out of the limb, your mycetoma, just Google mycetoma and see how it looks. It is very gorish. I would suggest that if you have a weak stomach, you don't do it. Okay. Mycetoma, essentially, whenever there is a mycetoma infection to a patient, you will have granular type of sinuses. Okay. The sinus discharge that will come out, the material, it will be in the form of grain. And that grain will essentially contain colonies of fungi or sometimes even bacteria. Okay. Co-infection की वजह से exist होता. So that is mycetoma. It will cause a chronic suppurative infection. Chronic suppurative infection along with draining sinuses. And the material that is coming out of the sinus, that will be in granular form. Okay, that granule is essentially a colony of fungi. It will have a colony of fungi and bacteria or bacteria. Then we have candidiasis. Now, candidiasis is an opportunistic infection. Opportunistic infection का मतलब ये रहता, opportunistic infection. See, you will come across several opportunistic infections. Opportunistic infections are those which will occur when your immune system is weak. Okay? So let's suppose someone has HIV, someone has AIDS. Okay? So around the time about 10 years, 15 years after their diagnosis, when their immune system is extremely weak, what will happen is other infections will start attacking the patient. Other bacteria, other viruses, they will start attacking the patient. So it is very common to see tuberculosis in such patients. It is very common to see other fungal infections in the patients. ठीक है, meningitis होता है उन लोगों को, बहुत सारे infections, common infections बहुत होते हैं, because their body does not have any more, defense mechanism to defend themselves against those bacteria, against those viruses, against those infections. Those type of infections are called opportunistic infections. Candidiasis is one such infection. मेनली ह्यूमन में एक स्पीशीज से होता, कैंडिडा एल्बिकन्स. ठीक है, कभी कभी कैंडिडा ट्रॉपिकैलिस से भी हो सकता, रेयर बट इट कैन हैपन. ठीक है, मोस्टली कैंडिडियासिस विल अकर थ्रू कैंडिडा एल्बिकन्स, समटाइम्स कैंडिडा ट्रॉपिकैलिस. ठीक है, अब ये होता क्यों? इन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स Candida species will live as your gut, in your gut flora. Okay? It's a part of your normal flora of your skin. It will also be present inside the mucocutaneous layers. It will be present inside the vagina. It will be present inside intestines. The thing is that there is a certain balance maintained by your body. There is kind of a deal between the body and your, the bacteria, sorry, the fungus. So Candida is living inside your body and in and around your body with the deal that it will not harm your own body. Sometimes what will happen is when your body's immune system is very, very weak, that fungus can attack you. Okay? The same fungus which is inhabiting your flora or it is inhabiting your mucocutaneous areas, they can cause superficial infections, especially superficial infections of your skin, your mucous membrane. Sometimes they might even invade deeper tissue and they may cause systemic infections. Okay, rarely, but it can happen. These are mainly opportunistic kind of infections, wherein the patient already has a very weak immune system. That is when this fellow can attack. Normally, this fellow will not attack, but when the opportunity comes, then it can attack. Okay, so that is about fungal infections. Then we have infections by viruses. ठीक है, वायरल इन्फेक्शन में पहले आता है आपका येलो फीवर. Now, yellow fever is one of the oldest known viral hemorrhagic fevers. Okay? This fever is mainly transmitted through Aedes aegypti. Monkeys will carry this yellow fever for a long period of time without getting affected altogether. If a mosquito is biting that monkey and it is biting another human, that is how it will get transmitted to humans. Okay, the vector will be Aedes aegypti. You will have a asymptomatic carrier in monkeys. Mainly, this kind of fever, yellow fever, is restricted to regions in Africa or in South America, Venezuela, Brazil, वो areas में. ठीक है. Rarely it comes to this side of the earth. The major pathological changes that will occur will be in your liver. ठीक है. Because of yellow fever, there will be necrosis. You will have midzonal necrosis. Okay, inside your hepatocytes, there will be midzonal necrosis. The whole, how should I put it? The lattice of your liver. Okay, if you have already studied and if you remember the physiology of anatomy of your liver properly, you will know that your liver is properly arranged in a way wherein you will have bile ducts, you will have hepatocytes and blood vessels arranged in a particular formation. अब यहाँ पर क्या होता, मिडजोनल एरिया में नेक्रोसिस होने लगता. Okay, if you have if you're getting a doubt what is midzonal area, once check the image of this thing, the liver. Midzonal necrosis will occur. There will be microvesicular this thing, steatosis. Steatosis is essentially a condition in which fat will start getting deposited. So microvesicular steatosis में क्या होता? Vesicles will start, the microvesicles which are present inside your hepatocytes, they will start storing fat. Okay, fat will start getting accumulated inside. Fat will not be processed by the hepatocytes properly and will start getting accumulated. And certain special type of granular bodies will be formed in your liver called Councilman bodies. I'll not get into the details of what are Councilman bodies and how they are formed, but one special type of morphological feature that you can see in yellow fever will be Councilman bodies. Okay, so changes in liver. In most viral infections, आप dengue ले लो, yellow fever ले लो, कोई भी viral infection दो, there will be some or the other change in your liver. More often than not, what will happen is ALT, AST will go up. Liver changes are pretty common in the viral diseases. That is why whenever you see a patient who has, who's, let's suppose they have not been diagnosed yet, and you know that there is some infection, generally cultures will take some time. And उनके liver parameters बहुत strongly vary हो रहे, बहुत high हो रहे, there is a good chance that they might have a viral infection. Okay, but it is always good to rely on culture and sensitivity. Just in case you do not have time and you want to save, keep in mind that it could be a viral infection. Okay, sometimes, not always. Now, the main changes that will occur in liver, as I told you, will be midzonal necrosis. Okay, there will be formation of councilman bodies, and there will be microvesicular steatosis, accumulation of fat. Special type of injury है ये steatosis. Okay, you don't have it in your inflammation, but generally steatosis explain कर दे. For you, it is not there. That is why I didn't get into what is steatosis. If you want to, if you're interested in, look out what is steatosis. Okay, is essentially what will happen is fat is not getting processed properly, and it does not have any place to go, and it will start getting accumulated. So wherever it is getting affected, जहाँ पर भी steatosis हो रहा, more often than not, it will be in liver. तो microvesicles में एक बार फैट जमा होते 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 it will start spreading in such a way that the whole of the liver will start getting deposited with liver this thing with the fat. So you will see proper fat covering the whole of the organ. There are a few changes that will occur in the kidney in yellow fever as well. Changes in kidneys. Okay. First of all, there will be coagulative necrosis. Coagulative necrosis is a special type of necrosis which was not discussed with you. It is not part of your syllabus. उसमें क्या होता? In one organ, there will literally be coagulative changes. Proteins will dissolve, and you will see liquid. Literally, the tissue of that organ will coagulate. Okay, there will be coagulative necrosis of proximal tubules. There will be accumulation of fat. Specifically, it will be accumulated in your tubular epithelium. Okay, and there will be a lot of spots of hemorrhage, bleeding. Okay, so the changes that will occur in kidney will be, first of all, coagulative necrosis. Okay, of proximal tubules. Then accumulation of fat in tubular epithelium. And presence of hemorrhages. So आपको hemorrhages कैसा मालूम होते? You will start seeing blood in the patient's urine. Maybe not severely, but you will start seeing difference in color, and you will start seeing the cells of your blood in the urine. Okay. Sometimes if it is very severe, you'll start seeing a lot of RBCs and a lot of damage to your kidney epithelium, which is causing a lot of blood and the components of blood to come out into urine. But in early stages, at least, you will see a few RBCs and all of that. Now, patients will generally recover without sequelae, and death rate is quite less in yellow fever. Okay? Death rate is less than 5%. Sometimes, agar death hui bhi, those 5%, it will mainly occur because of liver failure or kidney failure. Okay? If the patient's body is not able to cope up and their kidneys and liver getting damaged beyond repair, that is when those 5% of people will die. Okay? 95% of the people will recover. 5% of those who die will be mainly because of either hepatic failure or because of liver failure. Okay. Then we have, that is the first viral infection. Then we have dengue. So not dengue, okay, it's dengue. Dengue is also called dengue hemorrhagic fever. Now, this is, you will have, dengue is caused by 4 different viruses. It can be DNV 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, nowadays 5 is also coming out. They have identified another one. But essentially speaking, the main transmitter of this dengue will be Aedes aegypti again. Okay, and especially it will be very, very high during monsoon season. That is why if you're ever working in a hospital, especially during the monsoon season in India or in Hyderabad, you'll find a lot of patients of dengue. Okay. Now, as such, one problem with dengue is that there is no specific rock solid treatment to dengue. Okay, you can substitute with platelets, you can give blood transfusions, all of that, but as such, there is no treatment. Okay, आप Caripil बोल के एक मिलता tablet which is helping in it will essentially induce thrombocytopenia. It will essentially induce formation of platelets, but thrombopoiesis, but it will only do that. It will not kill the virus as such. You're only treating a symptom. So dengue does not have a treatment as of yet. Now, dengue will occur in 2 forms. It can occur either as breakbone fever, which is also called dengue fever, or it can occur as hemorrhagic fever. ठीक है. Now breakbone fever तो दो फॉर्म में है. एक है breakbone fever, then there is hemorrhagic fever. ठीक है. Breakbone fever is the uncomplicated form. ठीक है. It is self-limited. Generally speaking, the patient will have fever and they will have a lot of bone pain and a lot of joint pain as well. And it will subside as is. Okay, it will affect muscles and joints as well, and there will be severe back pain because of myalgia. They have muscle pain, then followed by joint pain and bone pain as well. That is why it is called breakbone fever. But more often than not, it is a self-limiting disease. If you are just able to maintain the patient's health as is, give them enough fluids and all, they will recover. Sometimes what will happen is the patient will have hemorrhagic fever. Okay, dengue hemorrhagic fever. This is a severe form, severe and potentially fatal form of acute febrile illness. Okay, so the patient will have high fever and they will have cutaneous and intestinal hemorrhages because their platelet level is going down drastically. They will start having damage to their intestine and they'll start having damage to their skin. Any small damage, they will not be able to recover and they'll not be able to clot that wound because of lack of platelets. Okay, there will be severe thrombocytopenia because of which the patient will start bleeding either internally or externally. And वो टाइम पे बहुत मुश्किल रहता पेशेंट को स्टेबलाइज करना. So that is a more dangerous form of dengue fever. Now, dengue virus as such will infect your blood monocytes. It will infect lymphocytes, and it will infect endothelial cells. Now, this will ultimately initiate a particular system in your body called complement system. Okay? And ultimately, what happens is, as a result of this, thrombocytopenia occurs. Those cells are getting affected. Blood monocytes are getting infected. Lymphocytes are getting infected. Endothelial cells are getting affected. Okay? अब यहाँ पर the virus is entering those cells and dividing essentially. If it is infecting those cells, it means that it is entering there and it is dividing. And what will happen is, if the patient is not treated in time, they will die. They will enter something called a dengue shock syndrome and they will die. If especially in case of hemorrhagic fevers. Okay, so we'll discuss about SARS and other infections of parasites in the next class. We'll end here for now.